What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff London. This is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are intolerant of weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Everyone is mediocre at some point. Whether or not you get through it or not is up to you. Talking with a longtime mentor of mine, Don Busse. He was my high school basketball coach for my junior and senior years and my freshman year Alaska history teacher. Learned a lot from him, not only about hunting, but being a man and the type of person that you want to be. The guy has a very kind heart and is very industrious, and so I'm talking to him about hunting as we were driving home from a fishing trip at Whale Pass. Just got back from Whale Pass, actually, a 2-day hunt with Don, his daughter Tanya, who we are talking about when we start the podcast. 2-day camping trip up there with some of her friends, got some cohos, and so that is why it's late, because I usually post on Mondays. We're posting on Tuesday today because we were out camping, which is a good excuse. Hope you buy it. So make sure you check out themediocrealaskan.com for all the latest content, and here we go with episode 51 of the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast.
I might just kidnap Tanya and take her up, because I told her she owes me a hunt. I wanted to.
You two didn't hunt at all last year?
No.
She just went that. She just went
one time and shot that buck up on the mountain and packed it down by herself, and I was on a fly-in.
Well, that was when you were Dave, right?
I was with Rhino, yeah.
She said that she shot the deer and then called immediately for help. So she had 2 or 3 people come help her back down out there.
But they didn't meet her. She was clear down. That's exactly. But she had packed that thing clear down. Okay, so you know when you walk up our hill where you curve to go up the switchback?
Yeah.
So she had packed it from the clear at the top all the way to that spot by herself. And then then guys were coming up on the four-wheeler. They got my four-wheeler there, and they met her right at that. She was actually starting around the switchback, and she could hear him coming, so she stopped there. Yeah. So she carried it about half the way, maybe, or drug it. She tried dragging it. She said that didn't work. So, I mean, yeah, she packed the darn thing. I said, why didn't you take a backpack? I mean, that's what we carry these pack frames for. I got like 5 of them hanging in the garage.
I just got a new one.
What'd you get?
I got a Stone Glacier, because I had that old Cabela's pack, which is a lesser version of the one that you have.
Okay.
But I put a bear in it. I've had deer in it. That thing is all chewed up, so I treated myself.
And is this an external still, or is it an internal frame?
It's got the load shelf, so it's still got the frame, but you can take the pack and you can unstrap it, so you can put the meat between the pack and the frame, and then you've got our Cabela's ones are just top load.
Yeah.
And this has
the front load.
Yeah, you can top load, or you can lay it on side and you can zip. So
I think you'll like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And you can customize the fit. So that Cabela's one, the way it sits on that load shelf thing on the frame, sometimes it can kind of pull back on the shoulders a little bit.
A lot.
Yeah, so you can really all those adjustments, you can make it fit really good.
So I'm thinking about getting one, and I might want to look at yours before, because I've worn my Cabela's out. I've had 3 of them. I've worn them all out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about getting one because
they're so expensive.
Yeah, they're terrible expensive.
They're pretty nice. How many Cabela's ones have you gone through? Like you said, you've got 3. Yeah.
3 new ones for me, and then we bought all them used ones in various places.
Well, they're great packs.
Yeah.
But if you can buy that pack and just have it for a long time, then you're in good shape.
Now, here's another thing I'm thinking about buying, buddy. Do you have a spotting scope?
I do.
Do you?
Oh, man.
What did you get?
I got a deal from Vortex. Oh, and it is so nice. It is so nice.
The Diamondback, or which one did you?
It's the Razor.
The Razor?
The Razor, I know.
That's a high dollar one.
Well, it's the thing about Vortex is they're not as high dollars like the Swarovski and some of those Leupold, but they're really, really quality. And they're good enough quality for what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
So the spotting scope is awesome.
2060, or what'd you get?
What did I get? Actually, I bought it from Jesse Knox. It's a Vortex one that he got. I'll bring it over. I got a bunch of gear.
See,
I get jealous
You've got
of all the
sorts of stuff that you guys don't
the
have.
toys. Well, you had those binos that have the built-in.
I love those rangefinder.
Yeah, it's got the built-in rangefinder.
I love them. Them are high dollar. And when I got mine, buddy, I got them right before they actually made the new ones.
Yeah.
So I went to like 3, 4, 5 Cabela stores because I was trying to find See, I didn't want the ones that I had that's going to give me the elevation for bow hunting because I don't do bow hunting. And so I just wanted the one that tells me the distance. And so they were coming out with this new one, but I didn't want to buy this new one because it was like $2,700 or $2,600 or $2,800. I don't know. It was way up there, right under Swarovski's. And so I actually, after I retired, I actually found it at the Bargain Cave in, I want to say Sydney, one of them stores, on the way home when I was driving back that year with Tanya's car. And I talked that guy into selling it to me for $1,900.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So if it's one model underneath the new ones, then that's kind of the way to go. Because at that point, that was the number one.
Yep.
And you just wait a year, you're fine.
Yeah.
The spotting scope that I have is just before they went to a new look. And the new look looks more like a Leopold. But I actually kind of like the old look a little bit better where the knob is to make your adjustments. But that thing is great.
That's the only thing, that's not the only thing, but that's one of the things I've been wanting for years because let me tell you what happened. Because last year, I'm with Rhino. I hunted with Rhino a lot last year because he was about the only guy around. Heppy was always busy, so Heppy went with me once. And Rob and I only hunted together like twice because of just various things.
Yeah.
And so So anyway, Rhino's up there with me, and we went on, I want to say 3 different hunts together. But we're seeing these bucks, half mile off.
Yeah.
And with my spotting scope, with my binoculars, I can't never distinguish exactly if it's a 3x3 or 3x4.
Yeah.
And so we'll work my butt off to get to it, and all of a sudden it's a 3x4. So I did that about 3 times, and Rhino has this on his gun. He's got one of them long-range spotting scopes on his gun, like I don't know, it must go to 20 power or something, It's pretty impressive. So he was using his rifle. As long as he had a good rest, he was pretty much able to tell us. But there was still one, we were on this mountain here behind Klawock, and we saw like 6 bucks. Only one 4x4, and it was running, it was a long way off. We were basically the mountain over from where you and I went, the next mountain over up in that canyon. And anyway, so we didn't get a chance to shoot it, and we watched it. But we went over the top, and we're sitting on the very top, almost looking down in this big valley that goes down there, and clear off as far as you could dadgum see. I found a couple bucks bedded down, and then I said, Dave, check them out. One of them got up and moved, and we could tell it was only a 3x, but the other one laying there, we were both sure it was a 4x4, and even Dave with his gun said, I'm pretty sure that's a 4x4. So I said, okay, and I said, man, that's going to be a nasty hike. And he goes, listen, we're sitting there, we watch it for quite a while, and he goes, I know how bad you want it. He said, listen, you shoot it. If you get over there and get it, I'll come down and help you pack it out. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. So anyway, neither one of us realized, Jeff, what kind of a mess I got us in. I shot that thing for 403 yards.
Oh, wow.
Which I've never shot anything that far away. I missed it totally on the first shot because I wanted to shoot it while it was still laying there. It was a perfect little bed where it's laying there, and I had a great rest. I'm laying on a rock, so there's a rock that I can actually stand behind and use for a rest. So I've got this new scope, this new gun that I've had it. I've shot 365 yards before, so I thought, it's not that much further. Well, anyway, I should have let him stood up. So I missed him. He jumps up, so I shoot him again. Hit him on the second shot. And he turns to go uphill, but I'd hit him, so he really couldn't. He kind of stumbled. So then I shoot again, and I don't think I even hit him on the third shot. So then he's just kind of trying to go uphill. I thought, well, goodness gracious, I have one more round. So bang, I shoot again, and this time he comes rolling down. And he rolls, I think he's just going to stand in this little spot because there's just kind of a little knob before it drops off into a terrible, terrible steep. And I'm thinking, if he just stays there, and he lays there, and then all of a sudden he kind of goes over the edge. And I'm thinking, oh crap. Well, he rolls, he busts one of his points off, and he rolls down this big rock pile. And to get over to that might have been one of the hardest places I have ever been in my life to get to this thing. And it literally took me from the time I shot it to get to him 400 yards, it took me an hour.
Oh,
that's how terrible it was. There's a huge creek between us, and I didn't know that creek was so stinking steep. You can't tell that from where we were at.
Yeah.
You get to that creek and there's no place to cross it. And you know how the brush is. So anyway, if I would have known that was a 3 before, because when I get over there, it was only a 3 before after all that work.
Oh, man. I hunted with you a couple times, and your binos are so much better than mine. I was looking at that deer, and I thought it's a doe. And then you would look at it and say, no, it's a fork, because my binos couldn't distinguish ears from horns. So when I first used yours, I thought, oh, this is a different ball game. And then when I was up on Julius and I shot that buck, I saw some deer around, and I couldn't tell what any of them were. I just saw one that had something above its head move, and that's how I thought, okay, well, there's something going on there. And now I'm pretty new in the hunting career, so I wasn't too worried about how big it was, even if it was a big fork. And it was a solo hunt, so they were the Bushnell trophies, and I figured it has to be a trophy in order to see the horns. But yeah, the Vortex. I got the Vortex Razor, binos, scope, and rangefinder.
Wow, you have really. My gosh,
I'm going big time.
I'm impressed. I told you it was a disease, though, didn't I?
It is.
I told you that way before, and you put hook, line, and sinker, and now you're into it. I just love it. I mean, to me, that's so awesome, because here it is, and I know this is not like, but here it is, another generation now that's this great hunting, and you'll end up teaching people. You're going to go, and it just continues, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's fun, and fun in a just to be outside, when you roll up out of the tent and you just where you're at, and you've turned into a camping fanatic. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I always liked camping and I liked hiking, but now with hunting, it's just a different deal. It's hard for me to just hike for the sake of hiking.
I agree. Isn't that buddy? That's exactly the truth. It's hard to just hike without the thought of hunting.
Yeah. I do like hiking and taking pictures.
Yeah,
or glassing. That's pretty fun.
Well, but see, even then, you're scouting a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least that's kind of in my mind.
Yeah.
So if I go up on a hike, even if I would walk up one duck now, I'd go on past the cabin and go up on that ridge and look.
Check it out. It's funny how secretive people get about their spots this time of year. But there are deer everywhere. You go to any alpine, there's going to be deer up there. You just don't want to talk about it and share private spots.
You know something, though, you might want to think about doing, too? Last couple of years, and of course, I think I've showed you because we hunted enough together, but I have switched strictly to corks now. That's all I wear up the mountains anymore. I bought them rubber corks, just like Extra Tusk, but they got corks on them.
Yeah.
And you will never go back to your rubber boots after that.
Well, I got crampons.
Oh, yeah, you've got the crampons. Yeah, okay. So that probably makes a whole lot of difference.
When I drew that elk tag on Edelin, and I went and my buddy Bo Dale, he's the guy that runs the archery shop over in Ketchikan. I said, what do I need? And like, what do you take? And it's just I didn't ask where to go, because people that's a different spot, because talking elk on Edelin, that's different than, So he didn't tell me spots, and that's fine with that, but trekking poles, and then the crampons, and that way you get the stability of your boot, you get the fit of your boot.
That's true.
And then you got the crampons underneath.
And see, that's the one thing I miss about my rubber boots, but I tell you, I don't fall anymore at all. I mean, I can go anywhere.
But you don't get as exhausted.
No.
Because
you're not panicking, thinking you're going to slip down over the... And, you can... Like when Rhino and I went on that fly-in, there was about, I don't know, maybe 100, maybe 200 yards, stinking steep country. And I wouldn't even hardly attempted it without my corks. And shoot, with the corks, you just go.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it's like, even on the side of copper. Walking up that side of copper.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I ever did that with Heppy years and years ago, I was nervous as a catfish.
Yeah. Coming down that is real bad.
Yeah.
Going up it's really tough, but you have that grip, it makes it easier.
Right.
But coming down is, especially with a heavy pack, it's pretty scary.
Is this guy stopping for something, or
Was he looking at a deer? Was he?
I don't have any idea. Why is he stopping in the middle of the road?
It's got to be a deer.
It must be somewhere, but I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
He's he's got his reverse lights.
Yeah.
Wonder if you saw my blue cooler laying somewhere.
Interesting. Now you got this guy coming
Somebody
up
else
towing
coming.
something.
Yeah, everybody's friendly
Bunch
today.
of traffic, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be tempted to take my boat up there one time. I mean, it's not. I don't like it, but
Yeah, it was really crowded last year when we were up there, and we were thinking about putting 4 people in the boat to snag. And I thought, that's going to be a little
that's a little tough. Actually, the boat is really only good for 2 people, to be honest with you. I don't care.
And one person has to run the engine.
Yeah,
one person on the bow snagging. That's what Troy was.
Yeah,
and he was cleaning up.
Yeah, but that's about the only thing really that it works for.
Yeah, you can't really anchor up.
Well,
I think today you may have at the low tide.
Yeah, I would anchor right out 100 yards, right there where all them stinking fish were boiling.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I had that hook. Of course, I feel so bad. I lost that. That was a brand new hook. I just melted down, and I lost it on that fish out there.
Yeah.
I don't think I could cast any further with that hook than I could with mine. When I put that other one on there, I just like doing that twist around on there with them leads because I can just get. I've learned the 4 twist is just a great weight.
See, I like especially at the low tide when it's shallower water, I like the smaller hook. That way you're not instantly on the ground.
Yeah.
You're on the bottom. You get a lot less weeds.
So you were just using the small hook
I was
today?
using this. It wasn't the smallest
but the
one,
medium
but it
one.
was,
Yeah,
it was much smaller than the one that you were going with, your customs.
Yeah.
But that way, as soon as it hits and you reel in a couple times, you're tight to it, so you can pull through and not get a lot of that vegetation.
Yeah, I get tired of catching vegetation. That's why I just kind of ignore that whole channel right there because I hate catching all that stuff.
Yeah. But when it's deeper, like off that cliff where you were fishing today, that heavier one,
that's the way to go.
Good. That's fun.
I also learned something else about that pole of Teresa's. See, normally on mine, I just leave about 6 inches of line ready, and I'm ready to cast out again because it casts so much further. With that one of Teresa's, I had to leave about 4 foot, so I got a little whip action.
Swing?
Yeah, and it took me quite a while before I realized that. I just couldn't get out there.
Mm-hmm.
When I left that 3 or 4 feet, man, then I could get it out there quite a ways.
Yeah. The rod I have now is a little bit stiffer action than the one that I'm used to. And so the same thing on those shorter casts. Usually you just kind of get the tip to fling it out on when they're 20, 30 yards out or 20 feet out. But that stiffer rod, it's hard to control it. It's all about casting. If you mess up the cast, it's not going to happen.
I felt kind of bad actually after I did it, but I saw that fish swim right in front of that poor guy, and he was way out there, and then I thought, oh no. But you saw it. I mean, you were standing right there. That darn fish swam right. I mean, it was 10 yards from the shore.
And he cast it just way off.
Oh,
It wasn't even close. But yeah, you hooked it right there. That shelf is great. They just come in there and
turn around. Come and swim around. That is a perfect shelf. You just don't realize how stinking deep it is there until you get out there.
And they can be down there swimming around. You don't even know.
No.
There's maybe a little bit of a disturbance on the surface, but not what you're typically looking for. Yeah, it can be aggravating, I'm sure, for people who have no idea what they're doing. Or, I don't know if do you think it's worse if you know what you're doing and you're not catching fish, or to have no clue?
I don't know. I tell you, it might be the same. That not when you're not catching fish. It was. I mean, I can understand some people like. Well, let's just take Rob yesterday. He didn't get a fish. And he caught 4 the day before and 4 that day before, and he lost 2. So I mean, did that guy lose his trailer and didn't know it? No, he's got a flat tire. Yeah. Anyway,
after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
But like today, when you caught them 6 fish, I was going, wow. And then I had to tell myself, I said, Don, stick to your game. You know what you do. You get out there and do your thing. I said, I'll get them. Jeff just might have to wait a while. So I didn't. Yeah. It wasn't like I had any confidence that I wasn't going to get my fish, because I did.
Yeah.
But when I couldn't get that last, and I lost those 2 in a row, it's like, oh my gosh, that's frustrating to me.
Yeah, you have to play your game. You have to do your... when they're in that channel and I can see them make those shorter casts, the timing is so much better. And there are sometimes when they're not coming up, and I really like that close, and you're picking out the fish and you're making that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you start to do stuff, or you start to panic, then you start yanking right over the fish. You're not patient.
Yeah. Get back to your game. That's exactly. I had to tell myself that about 3 times this morning for when I first started. And then when I got my first fish, I fell back in the groove, and I got the second one. But boy, I'll tell you, the frustration of losing fish. Today is the first time I've lost any.
It's hard to know what you did wrong. You have to think that you did something wrong, but most of the times you probably didn't.
Well, one of the times I tell you what happened. They got so much trash in it, and I couldn't keep it line tight very far. And the minute he swim, I got line trash in. I was kind of pulling. The minute he caught a 6 where he could swim into me, and I couldn't pull it up fast enough. Yeah. It just came off. I know that's what happened with that fish.
When the tide's higher, and that green stuff where the Riffley Creek is.
Oh yeah.
It's got to hit the water. You got to get the fish, and you got to get it out of that stuff,
or you're going to lose
as soon as possible. You got to crank down the drag, otherwise it's.
Well, see, and that's another thing Teresa didn't have. I didn't realize, but I just used the pole the way she had it yesterday. That drag was so stinking loose. That first fish I caught, I'm lucky I brought it up, because it was just pulling, and it took my line forever. And I'm thinking, I didn't realize it wasn't my pole, because everything is so set. I'm so used to it. It didn't dawn on me. And then after all this goes on, and I realized no wonder that fish was going. That drag was so stinking loose. I cranked out about 10 turns.
It's funny, the adjustments that you make without thinking. You don't tell anybody that you should make that adjustment.
I know.
Or JJ was using the rod I was using last year, and the pin and the reel that breaks off a lot of those. Yeah. It started to feel like it was getting a little bit loose, and so I just put a ton of Gorilla Tape around it just to kind of reinforce it. Because as long as it's in there, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's right.
So if it breaks, it's too late. So I figured I'd just reinforce it. But it was catching every once in a while, and he didn't tell me. So I thought, oh man, that's too bad. That's one of those things where people don't really know what to ask.
Yeah. What do? You say,
you go through your checklist. Well, my checklist is different. I don't even know that I have a checklist. Based on how hard I yank, I set the drag based on that. So I don't.
It just becomes natural to us, but we don't think about it with something else, with somebody else. Yeah. So you're exactly right. This thing with Teresa using this is my old pole that I used for years until I updated to this one that you got me. I think you got that for me 2 years ago. I think it's the second season I'm using it, or third season I'm using it. But anyway, and so when I walked down there today, I just picked that pole up, and it didn't even dawn on me till like till later. I mean, I'd used it for quite a while till I realized that's the pole that Teresa's been using. But it was my fault that fish broke the line, because normally I take, like I said, I take mine and. Have you ever snagged sockeye over there?
I have not.
I tried it last year, and I never got any, but the guy that was standing there got one.
I'd heard something about the run wasn't as good as it has been. A couple people went down there and just took care of it a couple years in a row, and so they weren't returning as much. But, there's always stories.
Rob and I went up to hatchery here about 2 weeks ago to try and get some, and we didn't find any. And then Brian Templin went up like 3 days later, and I think they limited out, or at least they got 6. You know, we were just trying to dip net them.
Yeah.
I've only had luck at that one time dip net them. Oh, hey.
I've never dip netted.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, it's awesome. Did you see them guys got them kings over in St. Nicholas yesterday?
Yeah. I've heard that there's some over there, and this is every summer that it's like that.
Yeah, I've got them before over there.
But that they're staying way out.
Well, somebody got some yesterday. They had it on Facebook. Chris was showing me last night. I said, I better let Jeff know, because I didn't know if I wanted to go out and try and get the kings over there or not. But
Facebook just ruins a lot of stuff.
Oh, it does, because it becomes instant everywhere.
Yeah, because everybody can show stuff. I'm guilty, of course, but I don't ever want to be the first one. You catch a couple fish, and then you don't reveal where it is, and then someone else posted, and then there was a ton of cars, and so I figured, it's out. It's out.
Yeah. So. Well, like this Facebook picture, here's somebody with like 2 little kids holding up these kings, and you can see the whole bay and everything in the background. I knew. Teresa said, "Hey, look at this." I said, "Hey, that's Port St. Nicholas."
Yeah. Well, I know Dan Peters posted something about like 2 weeks ago or something like that. They'd gone out and got some. That's a whole different operation too. The river is so different.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny creek. I went up there fly fishing once with Ralph Wolf. It was a while ago, but we didn't get any. Going back to what you were saying about the nuance and the things that you don't even know to ask, you just observe. Through hunting, there's a lot of things that I've just kind of watched. And it's that time of the year where I start thinking about like the worst buck memories, because you get really excited for the season, but then you start to think about, what if I have another epic failure? And when we were up on that mountain and we got out of the tents and we were walking and we were going to go to the other side of that little bowl, and as we were making our way over there, we jumped that huge buck.
Oh, God.
And I didn't have anything in, because you're supposed to hike with nothing in the chamber, but sometimes you're supposed to be ready. So I knelt down and I click. Oh man! And I was just so flustered. I didn't just put one in real quick. He said, "Are you going to shoot it?" I didn't have it in, and then it's bounding away from us, and I can still see it. It's so big.
I can too. I've forgotten about that. I mean, I kind of remembered it, but now that you mentioned it, it comes back like a clear memory.
It went all the way across that high grass. It stood on that rock for a second. And it was like 350. You took a shot.
Yeah, I took a desperation shot. But
oh man, we didn't even get anything that.
No,
that
we did not.
We spooked everything out of there. Everything was in a panic to.
Oh, that's right.
Nice
that was a dandy buck. Yeah, and it was standing there, looking at, or coming towards us or something. I mean, it wasn't even spooked until we saw it turn.
Until it heard the click.
And then it goes, oh, Jeff. Yeah. Oh, buddy. Oh, listen, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't. Yeah, the thing looked like a mule deer, man. Or at least in my memory. I can't see it looking at me. I can't see it standing up. I can only see it running away.
Running away with that big rack bounding.
Oh, man. Velvet. We had great luck early on, and then since then, we have...
we've had a couple tough days, tough hunts. We're due for a good one, buddy.
Yeah, well, I almost lost my tent last time we were up there.
That was hideous.
Yeah.
Oh, that whole thing was hideous. That hike up there was hideous.
A long time to get up there because you had no markers.
No.
Because the weather was so bad, so you don't really know where you're at on the island. Set up camp, and then the next morning it was just so foggy.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
Saw a couple forks, but that was about it, and they were pretty small, and we weren't even up on top of the mountain because it was too foggy to get there.
Couldn't even get up there.
Yeah.
And it was blowing that's right, it about blew your stinging tent over the edge.
As soon as I took the stakes out.
Oh, I kind of forgot about that whole
thing. Down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an adventure, buddy. That was an adventure to write about. That was these are things that you shouldn't have happen.
Yeah. But we think we knew the weather wasn't going to be great, but you figure sometimes even if it is raining, it's a high ceiling, so you can still get all the way to the top.
That's exactly right.
But no, it was foggy and it was bad.
I have threatened a couple times to go over there and cut a trail through that clear cut, but I just never have.
Yeah.
But I have cut. Listen, I went and cut some trails last year. I cut a trail in one of my places over at Polk Inlet again.
Just unnamed areas.
You know what? Yeah, there's no It's just a place for me to get through this stinking brush.
Yeah.
And I love it once you do it. And I found a place. I took Rhino to a place. I took him there because I'd been there before, but it has gotten terrible. And I am going to go back there and cut a trail because that's a phenomenal alpine. You just got to get to it.
It was funny over in Ketchikan just hearing kids talk about where they're going to go. And everybody says Polk and Chomley. So whether or not they go there or not, you could actually tell people exactly where you're going. And they probably wouldn't believe you. Because they probably think that you're saying Polk, but when you say Polk, you really mean Chomley. Or when you say Polk, you really mean, Klawock Mountains or something like that.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know, but then as soon as you tell them, no one believes it. So you can say really whatever you want. You're safe. I remember going to Julius that one. It was around Thanksgiving. It was the first year I moved back, and we got right on the edge of the Alpine area. There's that high muskeg. It just started sleeting. And then snowing. Oh, man.
I forgot. That's
it
right.
Was bad. So we got off there, and then we drove to your plateau.
Oh, yeah. You shot a buck there.
Shot a little fork, yeah. It was a nice fork.
It was a nice fork, actually. Yeah.
Do you think the bucks that just live there year round?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I've taken the kids up there. We've gotten half a dozen bucks up there over the years. And you got one.
Yeah. I got two up there. I went there the next year. And then last year when I was going up there was when I got that flat tire.
Oh, that's right. So you didn't go up there.
Yeah.
Well, that means there's probably... Because I don't think too many people go up there and hunt anymore.
No. I saw... I've been up there a few times and seen... It's still pretty grassed over.
Didn't you and I run into some hunters?
I think once we did.
Yeah, we did. Some old guy was up there.
Yeah.
Or came up or something. Yeah.
It looks like a good rut spot, but that's what Google Earth, you can check that out. You can't see the terrain from the road. It just looks like a regular mound.
You know what? One time, years ago, I hunted that by myself, of course, when I found it, and I walked all the way around that, and I actually went clear to the other end and went down. Now, you couldn't do that anymore, I don't think, because the clear cut's so terrible, but I went through the clear cut and hit that old road clear at the far end of that thing. So, I mean, I've hunted that whole thing. I can't hardly drive through here without thinking about that poor lady.
Yeah.
But that's been a good little spot, and it's not like it's real secretive, but I just don't think a whole lot of people go up there and hunt it. And now that the road's getting bad, that's even...
Yeah.
Actually, I shot, not Paul, or was it Paul? Yeah, I think Paul shot a buck, not on that muskeg, but the one down below it a little bit.
Yeah.
On the other side of the road.
That's where I shot had a nice spread on it. It wasn't very tall. It was just a fork with 2 eye guards.
Yeah.
It was nice. I think that was maybe my first solo deer.
Well, you've climbed Julius quite a few times.
Yeah. It's just such a great...
It's a beautiful
bargain place to get up.
Yeah.
But
now,
I think it's pushed over. That place just gets hammered.
Oh, I know it gets...
So I think either a lot of people go to it, or a lot of people say they're going to go to it.
Yeah.
But don't.
Well, now, when you went up the last time, you and I have kind of been going up that other way and then going up that steep part. But didn't you tell me instead of going up that steep part before you get to the mountain, you kind of went to the right and went through the timber and then went up that way?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. I've never done it, but I've often thought that'd be a better way.
Yeah. That's the same thing with any of the mountains. Everyone has their own idea of what's going to work, but there's always someone who's down low in some muskeg and he gets a huge 4x4 in velvet, and it's like sticking to your program, right? Whatever your program is, whether it be snagging or hunting.
That's right. Stick to it.
Whatever you think it is. You get too caught up in what other people are doing.
Yep. That's exactly right.
You never been on the mountain, or you try to do what they're doing and you just get messed up. But
great lesson there.
How long have you lived here?
Yeah, I moved here in '84.
And then you were up here.
Then I was here for a year, and I left for 2 and then came back. So if you want to count the years total, it'd be 32. But years in distant time, it would actually be 34.
What would you tell the Don Busse of the first 2 years when you were hunting and snagging up here? What would be the...
I'm telling you, you got a lot to learn. When I first started hunting, the first mountain I ever climbed was Kogish. I mean, not Kogish, Shinnecoon. And there were no roads up to the top of it at that time. You had to go for that bottom road. And I shot my first buck up on Shinnecock. And I just kind of, it just grabbed me like it did you, man. I wanted to do it again and again. But I mean, you know, there weren't very many logging roads at that time in 88, 89. They were just really starting to put these roads in. And so that same year, I went with our pastor, Stan Snyder. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
Stan and Bob Gert and I went over here and hunted the Klawock Mountains. And that's when I shot that first big buck. And I'm telling you, that stirred my blood like nothing I've ever done. We split up. There were all three of us, but we kind of went different directions. And I went over the top, like I always do. And then I looked down and I saw this buck down in that brush. And he was way down there. So I walked through the brush thinking I'd see him. And I walked clear to the bottom to this pond. And I was so frustrated because and this brush was way bigger than you don't think it's that tall, but it's all that stuff growing out the side, that junk. Yeah. And so I got mad, and I get down to the bottom of the pond, and I was just, and I was going, why did I do that? And I got to hike all the way back up, and I turn around and look back up, and here this buck is standing over there looking at me, from about 150 yards away. I backed up against that tree, and I shot him, dropped him. So I hike up there, Jeff, and I mark where he is in my mind, and I hike up here because it all looks the same. And I get up there, and I'm just about to the spot, and I look up, and this buck's standing there looking at me. And I'm thinking, what the heck? He stood up. So, man, I just shot him, boom, right there, and walk up. Then I realized that wasn't the big buck. The big buck was wider than this. This is a nice buck, but I said, I just shot the wrong buck. So now I thought, well, okay, I'll take care of him. So I'm gutting him out. At that point in time, I gutted everything out, and then I quartered it. Now I don't even touch the guts. I just do how I do. Yeah. It's just so much easier. But anyway, I was pretty much about done. I'd already was taking, and I was. At that time too, I didn't take the bones out. I just pulled the quarters off and threw them in the pack, and packed the bone and everything down. I don't do that anymore.
That's a heavy one too.
Yeah, it adds quite a bit of weight. But I was pretty young then and didn't worry about it. So I'm just about done, and I hear Stan had heard me shoot. He'd heard me shoot twice. He was on the other side of that ridge, and he comes back to the top and is working his way down to where I'm at because he'd heard me shoot. So he knew I was down there, and I hear him. He's about 30, 40 yards away, and you can't see him. He goes, "Hey, Busse, are you in there somewhere?" Hey, yeah, I'm right here. He said, "Did you get something?" I said, "Yeah, I got a buck down right here." He said, "Okay, I'll work my way to it." And no sooner had he quit saying it, and then right between us, I hear this, I said, "Stan, was that you?" And he goes, "No, that wasn't me." I said, "Well, what the heck was it?" He said, "I don't know," but I said, "Make sure you got your gun loaded." We thought it was a bear. Yeah. And so I stepped towards him. I said, "I'm going to walk in this brush right here." He said, "I'll walk towards you." And I took about 10 steps, and I look in there, and here's my big buck laying right there looking at me, and its hind leg is kicking, and that last little, as it was dying, it was that final grunt, that it makes. Yeah. They just sometimes make this terrible little sound. And I go, "Stan, I got another buck right here." And he goes, "Well, shoot it." And I said, "I already did." So he comes through, and he looks at that thing, and he goes, "My God, I've never seen a buck that big." It was huge.
Yeah. That's on the wall?
That's the very first one that's the buck in 1988. It's the very first one on the wall in the garage. Because it wasn't, the rack was only a 3 before, but it was huge body buck. I mean, it was absolutely huge. And of course, to me, that was the biggest rack I'd ever shot. I mean, up here, I was like, and so I was so hooked. So I packed one buck, and then Stan and I drugged this stupid thing. We got it out, and we drug it all the way down to the pond, and we were going to drag it all the way back to the truck, which is about another, oh my gosh, it was another mile or so up and down these terrains and along, we were going downhill some, but it was terrible dragging. And Bob Gert was with us, so Stan and I drug it for probably, a quarter of a mile. And we were exhausted, because you know what that's like.
Yeah.
And so we said, no, it ain't going to happen. So I said, well, listen, I can pack part of it, but I don't know if I can pack. And so Stan ended up packing the hindquarters, and I took one in the front, or maybe because Bob had shot a buck too, I think. So anyway, so I brought 2 deer out of there, and I think Bob brought 1. But I was, from then on, it was like, that's all I wanted to start doing was hunting. And you know, I didn't have any concept of what I was really getting into. I just, like you, I went every chance I got.
Well, one of the things that Dad grew up, you know, in Colorado, Kansas, that area, you have big whitetails.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of put off by the first buck that he had to take care of was one that my great uncle shot. It was at the bottom of a clear cut, and he couldn't get down there, so Dad had to go down there and pack it out. And he said, that's a lot of work for such a small buck.
Yeah.
So it didn't stick with him, so I never grew up hunting. But you shot some bigger bucks down in Kansas, but you just love the blacktail so much?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with me. I just love the hunting, and so I think what grabbed me was, so at first, you're right. These were just such little deer. It was like, really, we're shooting these deer, but then we, you know, of course, we started eating them, and the meat was so great, and so then I guess it was maybe just the hunting thing. It didn't take me long to get over the size thing, because I kind of say, this is where I'm living, I might as well take advantage of it. But yeah, there has been a few times, and I go back, and you know what? That's memories resurfaced a little bit, because when I go back to Kansas now and still hunt these big bucks, it's like, oh man, these are monsters. You know, I mean, these things are huge, and I'm going to go back again this year. I've got 2 bucks down there now already that are mounted. That I've got to get back up here. I got to quit mounting all this stuff, Jeff, because I'm running out of room.
Well, you bought the new property, so maybe you can just put in a trophy garage. Or,
you know, that might not be a bad idea.
You can go there and you just have your recliner, and you can look back at all the memories.
Well, I definitely am running out of room. I got the 3 African trophies that are going to be shipped sometime in the next month, I think. The guy still got Paul and my warthogs. I don't know when he's going to work on them. Then I got those 2 deer. It's like, and I am someday. I'm going over to get a red stag. That's still one of the top on my bucket list. And I want to get another moose.
Oh yeah, it tastes so good. Oh, they have the moose up on Kuyu, right?
They do.
I'd love to go up there, and you talk about packing something massive out.
Shit.
Just the legs.
Listen,
I can't even.
Listen, I took those 2 young boys when I went and got my big moose, and then we flew into Cordova there, and it was terrible, terrible weather. We were there 4 inches, with 4 days, it rained 9 inches. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but when I shot this thing and it fell over, we weren't over a mile from camp as the crow flies. But we had to cross 3 sloughs and 1, well, I called it a river. You know, it got to be a raging river by the time we got there on the last trip. But those 3 sloughs, the first day we were hiking through them, were only about knee deep. The second day we were hiking through them, they were waist deep.
Yeah.
And the last day we carried through literally that short guy, he got water. He put his belt clear at the top and cinched it tight, and he got water in his waders. That's how deep it was. But listen, I couldn't have done it myself, because those hind quarters, I mean, them hind quarters are 100 pounds, 115, 20 pounds a piece.
Yeah.
They're huge. And it took 3 days. We made 1 trip the first day, 2 trips the second day, and 1 trip the last day. So we made 4 trips in there, and there were 3 of us to get all that out of there. And on the last day coming out, I couldn't bring my cape because we didn't have any more room, and it was raining too hard, and the crips were rising that we knew we'd never get it. So I was going to cape mine, and I'm glad I didn't now, because it would have been a fortune.
Yeah.
Because I just love that big rack, and I don't know. But on that last day when we packed out, in my pack, I had 1 of the back straps, and then some miscellaneous meat, you know, 10. So I probably had in my backpack probably 35. Each one of them back straps were over 25 pounds a piece, Jeff. They're huge. They're this big around. Anyway, so I had 1 of them and a few other, and then of course I had the rack on my pack. That was, and so I'm carrying my rifle, because man, there were bear everywhere, fortunately, nothing bothered us. Because I'm carrying my rifle, and then we all have, well, we went and cut big willow sticks down so we'd have a stick. Because when you're walking across that water, and you've got bevy hack, if you fall, you get drowned. So I was using that stick. Everybody, but the other two guys didn't carry their rifles because I had mine. So they both had 2 sticks to keep. And that kid, that same kid carried. One day he took one of the hindquarters, and the next day he took the other one. I was so impressed. Them guys were great. But you're talking a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. When I was on the elk hunt on Edelin, my buddy Zach and Kevin, they never shot anything before. So I was the lead on that, which was crazy because I'm still figuring out what to do with blacktail. So on this elk hunt, but at least we were 3 guys in shape. And we just awesome. let's figure it out. And the weather was really nice, but we didn't even see anything. Saw 1 black bear, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Now, did you go up Shakes, or which one did you go up?
We flew into a lake. I'm not sure what the lake was, but it was the first October hunt, and so people say go to. If the weather's been pretty good, they can still be up in the Alpine, or you can. So, but the previous 2 weeks, the weather had been really bad, and so we decided, well, we'll still stick to the plan. But they'd already moved down to the timber. We thought because we did a lot of glassing. We went every direction, but Edelin is the same thing as everybody else. They say, everyone goes in that inlet, and everyone has their private lake, but a lot of times the secret lake is the same for a lot of people.
Well, there's 2 big lakes up there that they land on. That one by the Mount Shakes is right in front of you on the other side, and Mount Etlin is on the well, I call it the backside. It doesn't matter. We landed, Rob and I, and then Rhino and Heppy landed at Shakes. The second time Rob and I went in there, the second time, and then we climbed and hunted up there. But the weather turned so terrible that there are probably just as many people who say don't go to Shakes as there are do go to Shakes.
And then the pilots sometimes will tell you, or they do a little fly around so you can try to look something. But same thing with hunting Prince of Wales. There's a lot of good muskeggs or clear cuts a couple of years ago that have totally grown in now.
Totally.
So you can't hunt them. No, just gotta.
So one of these days, let's think about this, buddy. I love doing these fly-ins. I love flying in. Now, it's spendy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Last year, it cost Rhino and I $1,800.
Yeah, for $900 one way, right?
Yeah. For a week-long hunt. We were gone 5 days. And we didn't either one. Rhino shot that big 3 before that I let go the day before. And so I would have shot it the last day, too. So he took that temptation away from me because he shot it. And I passed it up the very first day we were there. And it was a dandy, don't kid yourself. It's a really nice, tall 3 before. But because I was only after 4 befores. But one of these years, maybe next year, but let's think about it. I'd love to go a fly-in with you. Like I said, it's going to cost us $1,000 a piece. And so I went on 6 of them already. But the last 3, I haven't shot anything. And my wife is probably not going to let me go anymore unless I bring home some meat. Because that gets to be kind of spendy. But it is the most, memories are just, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours of great memories I have on these fly-ins. Because there's nobody. I mean, you get dropped off and you're on your own forever. You survive on your own. What you do helps make your survival. And you learn so many things. And I've never gone on one of these where I haven't seen monster bucks. It's just that I didn't see any 4 points the last 2 years.
That's a nice thing about getting to some of those areas where you can pick through. You don't have to shoot the first one. I've gone with Steve Ellison on a couple of hunts where you could shoot the first one, but you can do a big body with the big horns in it. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it.
Listen, some of these big bucks on the top, well, you've seen them now. Some of these big monster bucks on the top, I mean, I'm telling you, you can bring back 60 pounds of meat if you clean it off. That's a heck of a big buck here. That 60 pounds of meat's bigger than you're going to get on some of these entire little spikes you shoot down. That's bigger than the whole deer.
And I've shot some really nice forks because they were big body forks, and those are just great. You get a lot of meat off that.
Fabulous. And as a matter of fact, that's probably your best eating critter right there. I mean, you can get the little spikes too, but I don't like to shoot little spikes. So those young forks are fabulous. And if they're just a nice big split fork, that means they're a 2 or 3 year old buck, and they're perfect.
Yeah, they've had time to mature enough, so you got a big body on it, and that's good. But yeah, those big 4 points that are just big, huge. You get a lot of meat.
They're 6, 7 years old. There's a lot of meat. Now, some people really rave about this ruck taste. Teresa and I, in all these years, have only had one buck that we ended up grinding all into hamburger. We hardly ever get that rut taste that everybody else is complaining about. I just
haven't either.
I just don't know where they're coming from that, because these deer are fabulous.
Yeah, I don't.
But anyway,
maybe if the way that I cook it is a little bit different, maybe I use more spice. I don't know.
You can't mess it up. But we'd have to do that. We'd have to do that before you had to be back at school. And when do you have to be back at school?
It's usually 3rd or 4th week of August.
So we'd have time.
Oh, yeah,
we'd have time. So we want to keep that in mind. And I'm going to tell you something. I got 2 places already that I just never quit looking at places.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to pull one this year that I've been dreaming about for years. I'm going over and hunting Doll Island. I'm thinking Trotter's going to take me over in his boat.
Nice.
And have you ever hunted Doll?
No.
I've heard a lot about it, and I'm going to go over there this year, and I've been on Google Earth. He's got a place he kind of wants to go, because he's been looking at it, but I think I found a place that's better to go, because I don't think it's a place where everybody... See, I'm not into necessarily going where everybody else goes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've shot more big bucks off of just little knobs that aren't such glorious places than I have the big ones.
Yeah. Well, I had heard that the wolves were pretty bad.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that too.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no bucks, of course, but... No,
but I agree. I've heard that from several people. I was at that big deer meeting. You probably would have been proud of me, man. I got up right off the bat. They had that big wolf meeting, and they were giving this whole... The guy was there. This is strictly a wolf meeting. We're talking about the whole wolves. And so after he's done doing all his 20 minutes of presentation, then he wanted to open up for questions. And so Tommy George got up, just nailed it right off the bat. No, was it Tommy George? Yeah, it might have been Tommy George or Mike DeVille, one of them anyway. And then I raised my hand, and I stood up, introduced myself, and I said, let's be honest, my friend. I said, this is not a wolf meeting. This is a deer meeting. Yeah. We are all here because we're losing our stinking deer, and you have to understand it. And I mean, he goes, this is not a deer. And everybody in the crowd starts clapping. I mean, it was like, and all of a sudden the guy kind of just went like this. He goes, oh, whoa, okay. Yeah. Okay, so it is a deer meeting. It's like, I don't think he realized why everybody was there.
Yeah, why would people care? It's not about the wolves. It's about what the wolves are doing.
Yeah. So... It was a good meeting. It lasted for about 3 hours. At least they're thinking about it now. The feds. I mean, who knows what the feds were going to do? But when they were trying to put their stupid wolves on the endangered species list, I mean, the state better jump in here and say, listen, And finally, I think the state realized that now that the wolves aren't on, they're not their own stupid subspecies. They're not living only on salmon. Yeah. They're killing deer. They're killing tons of deer.
Yeah, and they can swim, and they just see it from down south, where they're judging this by down south standards.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that there's no wolves left in California, and that's so sad. And there's no wolves left everywhere else, and that's so sad. But up here, they're not hemmed in like they are down south.
Listen, you could try. I bet you, Jeff. And I told this guy this. I said you could hire the National Guard or whoever. You could hire 1,000 people to come in here and try and kill every wolf and eradicate them. And I said you will never eradicate the wolves on this island. It's impossible because there's too much natural cover for them.
Yeah.
And there's too much food for them.
The habitat is too great, which is crazy. Habitat destruction is what really ruins so many
that's
populations
exactly right.
down south. But up here, now the logging
is done, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some. And even that, these clear clats have grown back so fast. Rhino and I, when we come off of this mountain on the backside of Klawock, guess what we stumble across coming down this whole clear cut? A big old huge wolf den. It was amazing. Fresh. I mean, Rhino's yelling at me, hey, Bus, stop, don't come over. He said, watch out. He said, there's a wolf den right here. And I go, what? And I'm trying to keep from falling on my butt because it was so terrible. And I slid through that brush. Oh my gosh, you talk about the hair coming up at the back of your neck. We're from the front end of the truck to this back end of this huge big den with all the fresh, the trail's good. You can smell it. It's like, it was weird. Now, fortunately, we were making enough noise
Yeah, they probably spooked out.
that they probably ran out. But if that would have been a mama with babies,
Oh yeah, that's tough.
that would have been kind of nasty. I'd never been up that right there. It was weird. There's bones everywhere, right in the middle of an old clear cut coming down a steep side of the mountain.
It grows back so fast here.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So anyway, but let's think about that. I mean, I'd love to do that. I think that would be an awesome thing.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do anything big this summer, because I just want to save and have that sort of money on hand. So if it is a spur of the moment sort of thing, then I want to keep some scratch around.
That's you know what? That's a great idea. That's what I do. I try and keep $1,000 always in this little emergency fund.
The emergency hunting fund.
Emergency hunting fund. And Teresa knows that. She knows that because something might come up and I want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows. She's really good about that, and she keeps her little. She calls it her fund money fund that she uses for garage sales and stuff. So we both have this little kick, and mine's a little higher than hers, but that's okay. But here's the thing. It's very obvious. We might end up doing it on the spur of the moment because the weather has to work out perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I've been stuck in those fly-ins on this bad weather, and I'm just not going to do that anymore.
No. I feel bad when people come up, and you can't really feel bad. You just have to understand the weather's going to be bad up here. Last alpine season was terrible.
Oh, it was terrible.
There was that first week of August that was nice.
Yeah,
but it was so hot, and then after that, it was terrible.
It was terrible. See, when Rhino and I went, it was hot. It was blazing hot. It got too hot to hunt. That's why the last 2 days, we hardly saw anything because it was too hot. But boy, those first 2 days, man, we were bucks everywhere. But listen, the most bucks I've ever seen ever, I went with my friend Todd. You met Todd, I'm sure, this guy from down south.
Yeah.
I love it when you see them hiking, jumping with their tails up like
bounding.
that.
Little guy.
Oh, hey, there's our bear.
Right there.
Look at him. That's a little fella. Look out, buddy.
Yeah. All legs. Yeah, he's getting going.
But anyway, the most deer I've ever seen on a fly-in ever, I went with Todd, and we flew into this lake, this mountain over by, it's by Eudora, but they'd already taken in. I had called this guy and made arrangements. I did a dumb thing. I told him where I wanted to go. This was about 6 years ago. And then he said, well, send me a picture. So I did. I took a picture of this lake that Rob and Bob and I had flown into for 2 or 3 times. Well, at least 3 or 4 times, maybe. 3 times for sure, but I'm not sure if we did it 4 times. Anyway, and there's no name to it. And so I sent it to him, and then we ended up not going, and I didn't think about it. So this time passes. Well, I called this guy last year. He goes, oh, yeah. He said, I know where you are. He said, I've been taking people in there like crazy the last 6 years. I said, oh, for heavens. So, you know what? I mean, that's where he's taking people, right to this place where I
scouted it for him.
I should have never done that. Anyway, well, I said, how about taking us in? He said, listen, I've got 2 groups lined up. One's in there right now, and the one's next week. And so I said, okay, thanks. And that was all I said. I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah.
So Todd and I then said, well, I said, Todd, we can't go in there. I did ask the guy, I says, anybody getting any bucks? He said, oh, yeah, the last group brought out 2 4-points. Oh, you know how that hurts.
Yeah.
So Todd and I went to this mountain on the other side. We flew into the lake. That was that mountain that was terrible. But, buddy, I probably told you, it took us 12 and a half hours when we came down. We got lost. The fog and the rain were so bad, and his GPS broke, and I didn't tidy everything. I didn't have GPS at the time. We knew where to go, but we just couldn't get there.
Yeah.
So anyway, but up on that mountain, I tell you what, in 45 minutes to an hour, I saw 40 big, no 4-points, but 40 bucks.
Wow.
There were groups of 6 and 8, and all of them were big forked horns or bigger, but no 4-points. 3x4s running out your ears. And listen, Jeff, I don't think these deer had ever seen people before. They didn't run from you. They stood there and watched you. Matter of fact, they might even come to you if you just stood there. It was like, this is crazy. But you can see why nobody'd go there. It was a terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a hideous place. But I'd go back again, and here's why.
Other than all the bucks?
There's deer there, but I think now that I've been there, I think I could figure out a way to go up there that's a lot a lot shorter. Might not be easier, but it would be a lot shorter and a lot less time.
Yeah.
I bet I could figure out a way to get up there now in 3 hours instead of the 6 that it took us the first time.
That's a huge thing that I've found out, that you can be up a mountain, but you don't really know it until you've been there 5, 6, 7 times.
It takes
where I got that nice 3-point was I'd done different circuits, and then I had just kind of trounced through this muskeg to the back of it and found a trail on the back. So everyone goes up the easiest spot. But if you get back in there a little bit, I thought, oh man, this is kind of where we want to be.
Yes, sir.
And so that's when I hadn't seen a buck. I've been back there 4 weekends in a row and had camped 3 of them. So I'd been all around in that area. But it wasn't until I kind of keyed in on that and got back there that I ended up seeing that. And it's,
That's exactly right. You're learning fast, man. That's the best way to go. You know what? And I'm going to tell you something. As many times as I've been up these mountains, I still figure out and learn new things when I go up. Yeah. I mean, we're going to go up Julius again one of these days, and I'm going to go, wow. I mean, I hadn't even been there.
But even the stuff around here, those muskegs down there, I mean, there has to be some big...
Hey, listen, I've got lost in the muskegs down there. There's a lot of muskeg right there.
Yeah, and it's confusing.
It's confusing.
It's not a simple circle. And
no.
I
got way back in there, kind of off on that bluff, and was going to hunt that side hill on that one of them little ridges back there. And then I realized the fog is coming in here.
Yeah, and it just sits.
And it just stayed there. Yeah. And fortunately, I didn't. That was before I realized. This was years ago when I thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. And I didn't tie any flagging ribbons. And fortunately, though, I had my compass with me. And I thought, okay, I got to figure out, so which way's north? I was trying to look, and I thought, I figured that the highway probably had to be this way, but I wasn't sure. I was so confused. But what happened was, it was so foggy, but I heard a couple big trucks off in the road back there. I knew they were either on that road or this road. And so I started following them out. Oh man, when I got to where I got to realize where I was, that was one of my first times that I really got lost.
Yeah, it's tough. Those muskegs are. The mountains are too. They can get really confusing. If you get off by just a couple degrees and you go down the wrong ridge, you're in trouble.
Listen, Rhino and I did that off our mountain when we were coming off that mountain up there. Yeah. And again, it's in the fog. I hate the fog. I hate the fog with a passion.
Yeah, it'll sit. Sometimes it won't burn off. When we went up a couple times, we've been up there and it's burned off after a while. Yeah. But
there we go, buddy.
That's the nice thing. Any one of these mountains.
Doesn't that just call you though when you look up there?
It does. You can't tell me that when people say it, any of these mountains gets hit too much, or everyone knows about it.
Don't matter.
There's so much territory.
It don't matter. A deer might be there one day and not the next. It don't matter. There's deer there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the thing that's being tough though is I think is like we talked about is that stupid wolf population.
Yeah.
You realize I went on that mountain behind my house last year. I spent a whole day hiking all the way up there, and I didn't see one stinking deer.
Yeah.
A wolf poop and wolf sign and dead deer, and I actually heard them howling in the next valley over. That's what really upset me, and that was like middle of September.
We got Corby out there with middle schoolers, and they're getting wolves on their cameras and wolves on their wolf boards. But you kind of wonder if they just kind of cycle through and there's a big, huge rotation. And so if they'll kind of rotate out of this spot, once they do, the deer will be back there in the normal spots. But
I think that's kind of the normal cycle, but I think what's happening is there are getting to be quite a number of packs of wolves. Yeah. Because those mamas are going to have, I don't know how many they have, but they're not going to have just one or two. Yeah. And so then they break off, and then they break off.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you have a doe that has 2 fawns. You're lucky to get one back.
Yep. We haven't seen a buck today.
Have not.
But quite a few does.
Yeah, it'll be good. Got a couple more weeks. Got to get some fish smoked. And then move on.
There's a buck.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. There's our first buck. Little forky. Oh, what's he taste good? Oh, man.
for him.
Yeah, hey, that's 2 days in a row I've seen a buck. He's just standing right there.
Yeah. 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah. You know what? That's when we saw him yesterday. We didn't leave there till 12:30 yesterday.
Huh.
And that's kind of strange that they're out in the middle of the day.
I shot my 4-point at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. Sunny day, super hot. I don't know. As soon as you think you haven't figured out.
Yeah, something changes.
Yeah. But
well, like that guy that shot that stupid monster buck on Julius, look how many times we've all hunted that over the years, and he walks up there the first time and gets that monster buck.
Everyone talks about that. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, Josh I've been hunting with him now. He's the guy I've been going elk hunting with. He's a good guy. But I said, Josh, you just don't know how fortunate you are.
Yeah, I've heard that referred to as just the training mountain where you take your kids up there to get their first fork.
Yeah.
But there's just so much territory. Like, all these ranges have so much land that they can get replenished from. Coming up from the timber, so much. It's not a lone peak out randomly.
I'm going to tell you right now, that whole mountain range, even Julius, but it's kind of not connected, but it is. That whole mountain range, that's just a haven for big bucks.
Yeah.
I tell you, it is.
And it's funny that a lot of people don't. Well, they say they don't hunt it, but any of these ranges, it doesn't matter. And I think that's the same thing on Revilla. I don't know if a lot of people want to go in Ketchikan if they want to hunt that, because you don't have the logging road access, and it's just difficult to get up there. But I think if you get alpine, you really do the work anymore, then...
Well, now, what about that goat hunt over there? Did you ever put in for those goat hunts?
I put in the last 3 years once I found out about it, and it's awesome because you got those trails that go right to the top of it. So you can day hunt mountain goat, which is crazy. Think about it.
I put in for it. Now, what is it, like number 5 or 6 or something?
005 to 007.
Okay, so Rob and I put in for it now several years in a row, and neither one of us have ever gotten it.
Yeah, there's only like, I think 3 in one of them, 4 in the other. But yeah, I guess it's as close to a slam dunk as you could get.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing is that because they're really good genes, and I guess they're world-class size, I can't tell the difference. We were looking through his spotting scope when I went up there. My buddy Jesse had a friend who drew the tag, needed people to pack meat. I was like, oh, I'll pack meat too. This would be fun to go on. But you're looking through the scope at this goat on the side of a cliff, and they're trying to decide, is it, it looks like it's maybe 9.5, or is it 10.5? From 600 yards? But that's the thing. It's for mountain goat, that half inch or that
that's right.
Makes a huge difference.
That's exactly right.
Length plus the base. And at one point, one of them said, "What do you think, Jeff?" I said, "I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. That's a big white critter over there." I ended up getting one. It was, I guess, pretty good. But yeah, I'd like to do that. There's also fly-ins you could do, go into the Misties, fly into some of those lakes there and hike up from there. And
that's right.
Go.
Yeah, that's right. You can.
Those are all over the counter.
Oh, really? You can just buy that?
Yeah, those are the other, as long as it's not the D, I think it's DG, 005 through 7. The rest are over the counter.
Is there a boundary line somewhere that you need to know about, or?
Yeah, with the boundary of the southern and the northern points, but you have to just look at where that is. But it's fairly, I think there's like an inlet. I think Carroll Inlet might be the divider of Carroll Inlet. So, yeah, people go up those to get their own if they don't draw the easy permit. They just go up, hike up from the water, or take a logging road up and go get them.
Well, Rob and I and Bob went on them ghost hunts years ago, and we all, Rob and I both got goats, but I'd like to get them. Mine's really not real big.
What do you think of goat meat?
We ate it. It was, it's been so long ago, I can't remember. But we ate it.
I've had it a few times in a chili.
Yeah.
Which was good.
I don't think
anything is good in a chili.
Chili, yeah. We eat bear. We used to eat all our bear in chili. Yeah. Chili and lasagna. Yeah. We had a lot of it with bear meat.
There's a lot of extra stuff going on. I've done a lot of that in mind. I did some meatballs.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's tough because you got to cook the heck out of it to make sure the trichinosis isn't there, so you can't get your medium cooked, juicy. You got to cook the heck out of it. So being ground, I put some spices in it to make like a chorizo.
Oh,
so
man, you're getting to be kind of a connoisseur of this cooking too.
Trying to. Well, you get so much meat and you can save so much money.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to buy ground beef as much, and
we haven't bought ground beef hardly in 25 years.
Nice.
We buy a little because here's what Teresa does. When we're about to run out of hamburger, she always mixes hamburger with deer booger because it grills, make hamburgers out of it on the grill a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no fat in plain old deer, and it kind of turned into a biscuit if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And I love my stuff all well done anyway. But Teresa, she has to have everything kind of medium with lots of juice, and I kind of like mine well done, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it'll be good. Pretty excited. But there's so many hunts around here. It's hard.
It is. And you know what? We wouldn't have to do a fly-in, but I got a place I want to go, and I got to get somebody to go with me. There's a mountain up north here at the end of the island that I've looked at many times. Now, it's going to be a challenge, I think.
Challenge?
Yeah, but I know you're up to these challenges. Yeah. You're probably way up to it more than I am.
The thing that really helped me scout a lot of mountains, and I saw a lot of really good deer territory, was chasing grouse.
Oh.
City grouse in the spring, because they're up alpine-ish or just in that, below it, up on those high points where the sound can travel, the mating call can travel further distance. So I got in a lot of areas on some of the mountains over there that look really good for deer.
And did you get any grouse?
I ended up getting one. I shot and missed once. A couple times I heard them, but I got it down to within 3 or 4 trees, but these spruce and they're just so thick that even if you did see it, you probably don't have a shot.
What are you shooting them with?
22.
Oh, okay.
Finally got one and cooked it, which was
it good?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was eating a lot of not nuts, but
did it have a little
grasses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I got one in August, and it was good because it was eating berries and things like that. But as a matter of fact, I got one that day that my I got that flat tire, and I cooked it while I was waiting. But
so how about a ptarmigan? Have you ever eaten a ptarmigan?
Yes, I have, and that's I think that opens up August 1st or August 15th or something like that. But that's
I mean I've seen a ptarmigan by the hundreds.
Yeah.
We saw a grouse the other day coming home from up there, right in the middle of the road.
Well, that was the thing. People started making fun of me because they see them on the roads and it's so easy to get. And I was going out after school. I was going out during the weekends. Like, Lund, are you really not getting any grouse? Like, how can you not see grouse? Those are the things that you see all the time, but when you're not looking for it.
Yeah,
you're at deer hunting and you see it on the side of a logging road. I see them all the time, but when you're looking for them, you don't really see them. So finally saw one up in a tree, found it up in the tree, and it was hooting. And
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was nice.
Did you just send me something, or was that something?
No, I think it's just backing itself on reception range here. But yeah, so anyway, I got some nice stuff, some that subalpine area that I think there could be some good spots for bucks. And then I think the timing, a lot of people just go and they drive around. But if you're already out there super early, then you're ahead of the game. If you go out at dawn and then you're just hoping for a bargain buck, just do the work.
Yep.
There it is. That will do it for this episode. Make sure you check out themediocrealaskan.com. Go to Instagram, like The Mediocre Alaskan, or you can find me at Alaska Lund, and we will talk to you next time.